Hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you so much for joining us. We're tracking this enormous belt of high pressure, but next week it's all about low pressure. Let's kick off with the animated Winmap and look at this enormous belt of high pressure. It starts west of Australia, it goes all the way out to this point. But then in the Southern Ocean, it's the other way around. It's all low pressure. So that means there's a little bit of a squash zone between those lows and the highs, and that's this little belt here of westerlies coming through, which is affecting the South Island. It's why we're seeing rain around Fiordland and a bit of a westerly breeze in some other spots, like also through Cook Strait. And it's also explaining why we're getting a little bit of cloud continuing to move up, and I probably shouldn't say a little bit. It's been gloomy for the last 3 days, but it is starting to break up a wee bit now, and in the next couple of days it should get a lot sunnier for those areas that were quite cloudy. But let's take a look at, this is the current map for today, Wednesday, because we wanted to revise the width of this high pressure belt. The other day we were estimating it would get up to 9,000 kilometers across. Well, today we've revised that to 11,000 kilometers from the western point all the way across Australia, the Tasman, north of New Zealand, and well out to the east, in fact, east of the international date line. So this is an enormous area of high pressure, but someone asked me yesterday, if it's so massive, why does it not have a warning or something, associated with it being abnormal? And I said, well, actually, the central air pressure is not that massive. It's a solid high, but I've seen much higher air pressure in the middle. So 1029, there's a high next week that'll be about 1040. So the central air pressure is not exactly monumental, but it's the size, and that's because it's sort of merged with its mates and it's become a lot bigger. The lows are doing the same though, and next week we get a bit of a role reversal. So let's make a bit more sense of this now. Let's go through the next few days. Here is Thursday. We've still got that light southwesterly breeze coming through. That means Thursday's still a little bit cloudy for the western side, and I probably shouldn't say a little bit, it's been fairly gloomy for the past few days. But we've got a bit of a break coming in the next couple of days ahead. The high itself actually getting a little bit smaller as we go towards the end of the week. The central air pressure lifts up a little bit, but the actual size reduces. Now that means it will move away from us a little bit faster, but it also means we'll have some nice settled warm weather before it does that. So around the end of the week, we'll start to notice this. Around Friday is when it crosses over the country, and that high centre goes from being west of New Zealand, transfers out to the eastern side. That actually will mean an easterly develops in the north after a past few days of light sou'westers. So that's a change. In the South Island though, no real change for you on Friday, still the same airflows. Into the weekend, we get a bit of a change though in the South Island. It's a bit more subtropical for some of you, and if you're not getting the subtropical breeze, you're getting the nor'wester out of Australia. A little bit of rain on the west coast, and it's warm along the eastern side. A light easterly for the north of New Zealand. That means those little light showers that this week have been along the western side, they move to the eastern side by the time we get into the weekend. And it's a lot warmer for central areas. We've got a nice breeze coming through from the subtropics, and with sunnier spells increasing, the temperatures will be well above average almost everywhere over the next few days. Now by Sunday, you start to see a bit of a change forming, and that's down here in the Southern Ocean. There's a big low forming. See that blue line? That's an indicator that they're getting a wintry snap. So guess what? We're probably getting it too. But before it arrives, we do have this warmer airflow coming down and around us, and so therefore the temperatures aren't going to be quite so bad. A bit of rain on the west coast, still that high gripping onto the North Island and just trying to hold on. But we finally go to next week and look at Monday. You can see what's coming. So that big area of high pressure that we've had all of this week pulls away, and this massive area of low pressure, which is similar to the high, it's a bunch of lows that are sort of merging together, and so you're going to get this system merging and moving in. But it'll be a warm, windy Monday in many areas. But as we go through next week, there'll be a few thunderstorms in here. There'll be some wintry changes as well, but also behind it, we've got another big high. So we're not yet finished with all these big highs, but it looks as though maybe as we head towards the first day of winter, it might be starting on a wintry note, because next week certainly looks a lot more unsettled. That is all from me. We'll catch you again tomorrow with the latest as we track this big high and next week's big low.